Welcome back, Crusaders, to another First Impressions video. This time we're talking about Black Myth WuKong. So this is a Souls-like game, meaning that it's very similar mechanics of Dark Souls or Elden Ring, but for a Souls-like game, it does seem to be a little bit more forgiving. You won't be finding yourself getting one-shotted by regular enemies or even bosses, for that matter, but a little bit more on that later. First things first is that this game does follow the game rulebook right from the beginning of the hero's journey. With just a huge bombastic opening that's a lot of fun to play, a lot of fun to watch, which is what you're seeing here. But it's not how great the opening is, it's the gameplay that they put you in. Like almost all the Heroes Journeys games, like Metroid Prime and a bunch of other ones, is where you start off with all your powers. You play as the Monkey King, who's fully loaded and fully powerful, and then after the sequence, you end up playing without those powers. But what's interesting is that you're not playing as a defeated Monkey King who needs to go on a journey to regain his power. You basically seem like you're playing more like a descendant of people of his tribe, who's on a journey to collect the 6 pieces of the sage that will ultimately basically make you into the new Monkey King. And I assume when that happens, you'll probably get all his memories as well, so that the story can continue where it left off at the end of that giant battle in the very beginning. So this is definitely based off of Journey to the West, which is a great Chinese myth story. Many different renditions of it have been done, some with the Monkey King, some without. There's also another game in the past that also tried to tackle the same type of material a little bit differently, which was Enslaved, I believe, that was on 360, which is like a cult classic. A lot of people love it, but it just didn't do so well when it landed. My first impressions of this game is that it's a lot of fun. There does seem to be a difficulty spike when I hit Chapter 2, but with sticking to it and whatnot, you will definitely persevere through that and continue to have fun with this game. Other notable things is that there's no visual guide in this game as to what's the golden path. Where do you need to go? It is literally like, alright, you're on this mountain, go that way, and there's different opening paths, things that wrap around, and they actually make it worthwhile to go and explore all these different things. You may see a different cutscene or some things that might happen that you wouldn't normally see. You'll definitely find resources and materials that you'll need later on, as well as finding items and stuff that might be useful for you. This also helps you end up coming across mini bosses that are pretty interesting and all unique fights. I have not come across one boss yet that has ever been like one before. It's not like how the mini boss in some games might have like some techniques or moves that the main boss of that level may have. They're all very unique. They all have their different fighting styles, and you actually get something for fighting them. Not just the experience that you would use, but you actually get some abilities. I stumbled across a frog, a giant frog in a river pond that I fought, not realizing that once I did that, I now have the ability to turn into a giant frog and use his poison attack. There's a wolf guy that uses a fire staff, and you get to turn into him and utilize him and his attack set for a whole period of time, which these actually give you almost a second lease on life while fighting bosses. So very important to just explore around as much as possible and interact with as much stuff as possible. Whereas like in Dark Souls games and in Elden Ring, it is good to explore and do that, but you're very wary of it because anything can kill you almost instantly. We're here, yes, you can get killed, but you're not going to feel like you're going to get one-shotted by something that you didn't notice hit you. For the most part, the monkey in this game can take a few hits and definitely has some abilities to restore health and whatnot, and jump back into the fray and beat the crap out of the enemies around him. So you don't feel like it's unfair, and you don't feel like you're constantly watching how many resources or souls or whatever that you're gaining so that you can make sure you level up in the next checkpoint. You feel pretty powerful and pretty capable, at least, in almost every situation. That's the great thing about the combat there, is that because you don't feel bogged down and feel like you're going to get killed any second, you feel more free to go explore and run into things and be able to take on little mobs or groups of characters, or maybe work your way around something. If you see where some characters are hurted and you don't want to run into them, you have the option to kind of go around it and maybe not engage. But if you ever see anything that does look like a boss, though, or a boss arena, definitely by all means go through it, because you're going to get some benefit out of it. Now the great thing here is the character design is really great in this game, where the animation movement is great to watch. All the characters are definitely unique. Like I said, you don't have any of the characters like recycling necessary moves from like a mini boss to a main boss. You might see that when if you fight like the same type of boss. Like there are other. I've came across a second frog that I had to fight in the second chapter, which is basically going to be some of the same moveset but different effects. I mean, the first one I fought was poison. The second one was lightning, and definitely had a few different tricks up his sleeve. But basically, some of the same movesets to expect. But you're not going to see that. You're not going to see one frog. Where the frog fight's going to translate to the way a wolf warrior is going to fight, or a snake water demon is going to fight. They all have something a little bit different. It's always a little bit of learning curve with learning their patterns, and it seems to be a lot more fun because, like I said, you're not going to get one-shotted immediately by any of these bosses. It seems like. What I also do like is that we're getting a bit of a nice slice of Chinese myth to play around in, a nice world to play around in there, and it's not something that we in the West get to experience all that much. Every time an Eastern myth gets introduced to the Western world, it just doesn't seem to land as well. Like I said, Enslave is more of a cult classic than people who actually really like it. This also brings to mind Disney's attempt called American Born Chinese, which literally dealt with the Monkey King and the story and some of the story that they're telling here, and that fell flat on its face and was kind of forgotten. And I would have to say, Black Myth WuKong is a little bit like that as well. It was really hyped up when it came out. Before it came out, it landed, everybody talked about it, everybody played it, beat it on PlayStation and PC, and then there was nobody talked about it again until it just now released on Xbox. But hey, if you like fantasy, and you want to get a little bit more Eastern world myth and fantasy world to play in, and see what type of world that creates, and some of their mythological beings and gods that are part of their mythos, definitely check out Black Myth Wukong. Like I said, for first impressions, it's a really fun game. I think it's something that if you've been turned off by Souls games in the past, you'll probably might enjoy this a little bit better, because you're not going to feel defeated constantly. You will feel pretty powerful, and as you progress, you get more and more powerful and get more and more abilities that will help you overcome all the challenges. So definitely a good buy in my opinion. You should check it out. Thanks for watching.